Good morning, everybody. It's Monday morning, and here we go for another week. I'm going to give you two shorter lectures this week. One has to do with nuts and bolts and a few things that we need to review. And then the other one will deal specifically with the elements and the materials for this week, as we're starting on the short story unit. So this one, the first one, is the nuts and bolts one. I'll call it lecture number 1. And the other one, the specific stuff with the short story chapters and things, I'll call that lecture 2, and you'll have them both very shortly. So first off, I just wanted to tell you that you may want to go in and check the syllabus. I have changed the syllabus and amended it in certain cases to reflect and clarify some things that seem to be confusing some folks. So if you printed off the syllabus, you may want to go in and print off another copy of it because a few things have changed. If you haven't printed the syllabus, then the syllabus that's on in the module this week and the one that's going to appear every week, that is the current version of the syllabus. And there aren't any real changes. I've just tried to clarify a few things that are confusing some folks. So the first thing I want to talk about is the font. I know I've mentioned this several times before, but apparently the message didn't get across. I need you to use one of the 4 required fonts in the syllabus, and there's a specific reason for this, which I'm now going to tell you about. In Times New Roman, which is going to be the default font on most of your machines, here's, for example, what the letter L looks like in Times New Roman. You notice it's got some little tails on it. Can you see that? The little tails that stick up in places. All right. So when you use that font, and when one is looking at it online, and when one is an old man like I am, those little tails, when you see them in an electronic version, they start to wiggle. Not in print, but on the screen they start to actually move. And if you've got 500 pages of student essays to read and those little tails are wiggling, it gives you a headache really quickly and makes you cranky really quickly. So I know it seems like a very small thing to you. It's a huge deal to me, and I need you to not use Times New Roman, which is why I specified, to make it easy for you, I specified the 4 fonts in the syllabus, which I've now gone and clarified for you, that I'm going to ask you to use, remembering that you will have to most likely change the default font. On many machines, the default font is Times New Roman 11-point size. That's unacceptable on 2 counts. So you're going to need to remember to change that. I've reminded you on the first little essay, and I'll remind you on the next one. After that, you need to do it. I need you to do it. I literally need you to do it. For instance, here is the same capital letter L in, I think it's Geneva, or it's Arial, I think. Look, no tails. Okay, that's solid. It sits there, it doesn't move, and it doesn't cause headaches. Okay, so I know it seems like a small thing to you. It's a big thing to me, and I'm going to have to insist on it fairly quickly. So if you have trouble reminding yourself, write it down on a piece of paper and stick it on your computer. Now let me tell you, I understand the situation. Right now I'm working on the dissertation for a doctoral program in which I'm involved, and they want Times New Roman, and they want Chicago style, which is not MLA and not APA. So what am I going to do? I'm going to suck it up and give them what they want, because that's what's going to get the job done. So, if it seems somewhat arbitrary to you, it is, but I need you to do it. The second thing is, this week in the module, you're going to see a little conjunctive adverb URL that I'd like you to look at there. I noticed a lot of situations with the use of conjunctive adverbs that created comma splices, which creates jumbled up messes of thought which are getting to be impossible to penetrate. I don't want you to freak out about that. You're going to take a look at that long list of conjunctive adverbs, and you're probably going to freak out. Remember, you probably only use about 3 of those words ever. So you don't have to memorize the list, just pay attention to the ones that you use. Most commonly, however, therefore, consequently, probably that's about it that anybody uses on a regular basis. So don't memorize the list, just if you use however, consequently, or therefore, pay attention and get it right. And here's the deal. Again, I have these incredibly sophisticated visual aids for you. I hope you can see this. I'm going to put my glasses on. The first one is an incorrect use of the conjunctive adverb however. You notice it's got, let me get closer. I don't know how to do this. There we go. You've got 2 complete sentences. I went to the bank and I went to the grocery store first. Those are 2 complete sentences. And you have joined the 2 complete sentences with the conjunctive adverb however, but you have put commas around it. There's a comma there and a comma there. That's an incorrect use of the conjunctive adverb however, and a very, very, very common incorrect use. And it creates a comma splice, which creates a mess, which gets to be hard to read, which causes a reader not to read, and so forth. All right? This is the conjunctive adverb here, however. It's on that list if you look at it, okay? And it's not correct, it's wrong if you want me to use that term, because it creates a comma splice, which creates a jumbled up mess of thoughts, which creates confusion, which creates frustration on the part of a reader, which causes a reader to throw the thing down and not read it. Okay, the reason I'm giving you this lecture is that I saw several instances of this use of the actual word however. It's a very common mistake, and it's very easy to fix. If you use however in this kind of a construction, make it right, fix it. Probably Grammar Check. In fact, I know Grammar Check will catch it for you. Here is the same sentence done correctly. Again, notice 2 thoughts. I went to the bank. I went to the grocery store. 2 complete thoughts, 2 complete sentences, and so you've joined them with the conjunctive adverb however, but you've put a semicolon before it. I went to the bank, full stop, however, comma, I went to the grocery store first. So if you're having difficulty with the use of conjunctive adverbs, particularly however, therefore, and consequently, and you're using them like this, that's going to create confusion and frustration for your reader, and all you have to do is know that you have a tendency to do that and replace that first comma with a semicolon. Alright? And again, if you run Grammar Check will catch this for you. But notice here you have 2 complete thoughts. I went to the bank, I went to the grocery store. There's another way in which these words can be used that are not conjunctive adverbs, and that is in a construction like this, in which you have a complete thought which is interrupted, one complete thought interrupted by the joining word. In this case, it's not a conjunctive adverb, but it's the same word in a different function. I went to the bank, a complete thought. I went to the grocery store first, another complete thought. And you're simply inserting the word however to slow down the pace of the sentence, or to emphasize, or in other ways bring out the second sentence. But notice, I went to the grocery store first is one thought, and you're interrupting that thought with this word, which happens to be however, and in that case you do put commas on either side of it, but that's the only case if you have a single thought and you interrupt that single thought with an interjection like this, however, therefore, consequently, and other stuff on that list. In that case, where you are interrupting one thought, you put commas on either side of it. If you have 2 complete thoughts that you are joining together, then you have to use the second construction, semicolon, comma. Okay, easy to fix, and if you notice a pattern of it in your writing, stop doing it. Pay attention to however, consequently, and therefore, and that's probably, as I said before, probably the only 3 words on that whole list that you will almost ever use in your life. So, get it right. All right, let's move on quickly. I did notice there are some folks who have quite obviously not read the syllabus. And, I don't mean to be cranky, but I'm getting tired of people asking me to say again what I've already said in the syllabus. You need to read the syllabus. If you haven't, you're playing the game without knowing what the rules are. That doesn't make any sense. And as I noticed way back the information quiz that we did earlier, there were some people who hadn't read the syllabus and probably still haven't read the syllabus, so you don't know what the rules are. And how can you win the game if you don't know what the rules are? But also in some cases, some people didn't read the question in the information quiz. There was one question where I asked you for a total of something, and some of you didn't give me the total, meaning you didn't read the question, so you didn't understand what you were being asked to do. We'll talk about cue words and things another time, but there are road signs and things that we learn how to build into things when we go to teacher school. They teach us this. And one of the things is to answer the question, and that was the third thing I'm going to quickly note. In some of your AN1s, the little piece analyzing James Joyce's Eveline, some of you didn't answer the prompt. And if you don't answer the question, then you deprive me of the ability to assess your work because you're not giving me what I'm asking for. And again, it's not what I'm asking for. It's reading the prompt carefully, being sure you understand it, and then answering the prompt rather than writing something else that's just what you happen to feel like writing, which doesn't allow me a platform on which to stand to evaluate it for you. So you need to read the syllabus if you haven't. You need to read it repeatedly. And I don't mind asking for clarification. You're perfectly within your rights and expectations to ask me for clarification. But if you're asking me to repeat something I've already written in the syllabus, I'm going to say, go read the syllabus, because it looks like you haven't. Okay. And the last thing is, with every assignment, there's an assignment sheet, and that assignment sheet tells you exactly how I'm going to grade this thing for you. There should be no doubt whatsoever in your mind about what I'm asking you to do. So, for instance, if I ask you for 500 words and you give me 250, you didn't answer the prompt, and therefore I can't grade that. This is not a cat and mouse game. My job is to make it as clear as possible and as specific as possible. And I believe those assignment sheets do that. But again, you've got to read them. And by all means, ask questions if you don't understand. But if I say 500 and you give me 200, both of us know that you're not giving me what I asked for, and both of us should know then you're making it impossible for me to assess your work and give you reasonable and rational feedback. Okay. I know with an online class, there's a lot of material that comes down at you right off the bat, and I know it's easy to feel overwhelmed. But now we've slowed down the pace quite a bit, so if you need to go back and pick up some of that reading, you really should. It will help you in a lot. Okay, in the modules, and again, I understand this is a review. In the modules, there's a module, and I think I'm calling it how-tos, I think. In the modules, there's a whole resources module that talks about how to write all of the pieces of an elementary, basic college-level essay. And I've assembled those resources for you there because I thought some of you might need to review them. This class is not designed to teach that material. English 1A Freshman Composition is designed to teach that material. So if I see that there's looks like something missing in your knowledge base or your control base, I'm going to say, please go review this resource, and I'm going to leave that to you to do. But I will expect to see something change as a result of your reviewing what appears like you maybe don't have quite a clear grasp on. Again, I don't mind reviewing. I think it's an important thing to do, and that's what we've been doing these first 3 weeks, actually, is reviewing stuff. But, you know, we can't take time to review everything from English 1A. We can't teach English 1A over again. We have to take that as a given, and then I have those resources which I've assembled for you there to use those. So when I ask you to review something, or I suggest that you review something, that's advice that you probably ought to listen to. I mean, again, it's up to you. You are adults, and you do what you want. But when I'm giving you the advice to review something, it means at some point, probably part of your grade is going to depend on your grasping that material, and there is not sufficient time in this class to teach that material again. So it's kind of incumbent upon you as the student to go and look at that stuff and then ask for questions if you need to. Practice in your handbook. You know, I can provide all sorts of resources, but what I can't do is I can't take class time to teach the stuff from the previous class. That has to be taken as a given. MLA formatting, we haven't been strict about MLA formatting, and the reason for that is, frankly, the MLA, the Modern Language Association, has changed the rules over the summer and just sort of upset the anthill, so to speak, and we're all sort of struggling and scrambling. And so I didn't want to overload you with that. But at some point, and it's coming pretty soon, we will have to start discussing and practicing the new MLA formatting conventions, and it won't be a big deal. And if you want to use APA formatting, that's fine too, but I just wanted to inform you that this class will primarily focus on practicing Modern Language Association formatting, and the American Psychological Associating formatting is perfectly fine, but there won't be as much focus on it in this class in terms of teaching it. So if you choose to use APA formatting, that's perfectly fine, but you're going to be a little more on your own in terms of getting that stuff right, finding the resources and getting it right. And finally, the last thing, and again, I know this is review, but some folks are not quite getting it. You cannot send papers via email. That's a legal matter. And you must send them by uploading them to Canvas. This is not my choice. It's a legal matter. And so if you have trouble uploading, don't send me an email and say, well, I didn't get it uploaded, so here it is by email. There's nothing I can do about that. Okay. If you notice a problem, if you're having an issue and you ask early enough, maybe we can work it out. Although I'm not an expert, probably the people to contact would be the Canvas folks. But it's not possible for me to accept submissions by email instead of the uploading avenues that are provided on Canvas. You have to do it that way. And if there's a problem, you know, we'll fix it and start early enough in the process so you're not 5 minutes before the thing is due and Canvas isn't working and you're screwed because you waited too late. Again, you don't need me to tell you that. You're adults, and I don't mean to insult your maturity or your intelligence. But I have to reiterate again, I will not accept papers submitted by email. I will not, because I cannot. Okay, so that's lecture number 1. I think I've covered everything on my little list here. So I will shut up now and get on to lecture number 2, which is your introduction to the short story material that we'll now spend the next 4 weeks on. Thanks, bye.